All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're based. I know we've got lots of people that have been waiting for this. I've been having lots and lots of chats with various people I know that were waiting for this this webinar, and I've been very excited about it too. We've got lots of people still streaming in. Make sure you say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. I think we're also live streaming. Oh, I know we're also live streaming on LinkedIn as well, which is pretty cool. So if you're on LinkedIn, hello, leave a chat somewhere. And I'm going to hand over straight away to our speaker because that's why you're all here. But just a quick intro. I met Alicia probably a couple of years ago at an event, and while she was working at LinkedIn, and so we sort of swapped a couple of messages then. And then what she has done since leaving LinkedIn is super, super impressive. And so I was very, very keen to get to understand a little bit about what she's up to and what she's doing and how she's doing it, because I think if you're on this call, you also want to know how to win at the LinkedIn game. And I think this kind of fits into a bigger picture that I've been talking about a lot, which is there's kind of conventional wisdom that people talk about things that you should be doing, and then there's what the insiders do. And actually, it's much more interesting to find out what the insiders do. And Alicia was the ultimate insider, spent a couple of years at LinkedIn, and has now taken that knowledge and built an incredible profile. So without any further ado, I am going to ask Alicia to share her slides. So basically the format for everyone watching is that we've got about half an hour of amazing content. And I've seen a sneak peek of the slides, so I know it's amazing content. And then we're going to do Q&A after. We've got plenty of time for Q&A. So if you have questions as we go through, just put them in the chat. I will keep an eye on the chat, and then I'll try and get the best questions and put them to Alicia at the end. So with that, over to you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. I am excited to be here. So thank you, Callum, for having me. Now, also, I saw the chat and a few people said like they've seen my content before. That makes me very proud. So hi to everyone who knows me already. And also hi to the rest who see my face for the very first time. I'm very happy to be here. We have an hour together. So 30 minutes, I will whistle through my slides. And then the next 30 minutes, this is really where you can ask me any sort of questions. Don't hold back. I will be very honest. Now that I have left LinkedIn, I can speak the truth. So please ask me any sort of questions. For the first 30 minutes, as I said, I will just go through the slides. So any questions you have whilst I'm going through the slides, write them down, put them into the Q&A section, and then we can address them in the second 30 minutes. All right. And as you can see on the slide, today is all around behind the algorithm, but also the bigger goal is why you are here is how to land your first board position, and in this case, via LinkedIn. But first of all, very quickly about me, for those who don't know me. As Callum said, I used to work at LinkedIn, and my role was to help companies, big multi-billion-dollar companies, on how to show up on LinkedIn, how their executives should show up on LinkedIn, how to generate leads and income and revenue via LinkedIn. And I realized I was always teaching them everything in theory, but I've never done it myself. I've never really showed up on LinkedIn myself. So back in February, and this is all this year, back in February, I set myself the goal. So I was at 2,000 followers, but they were all like from previous roles, quite dormant, very like scattered around. So I said, I want to grow to 10,000 followers within 90 days, so within 3 months. And I've put this out publicly. I had no idea whether it would work out or not, whether it would be hard or easy. And I made it. In April, I hit the 10,000 followers. Following that, I went to 20,000 followers just 2 months later. It is all a snowball effect. So once you have a certain size, growing is much quicker and easier. And so many opportunities came my way and so many doors opened. Also board positions opened up for me. It wasn't my priority, so I didn't really go down that route, but this is really like opportunities come your way. And therefore I handed in my notice at LinkedIn to now run my own business, the Hype Department, which is all around helping people helping people with one-on-one LinkedIn strategy advice, running corporate workshops. Like I landed a deal with FedEx, with Samsung. This is all happening like literally within the last 6 months, and 2 months I've now been self-employed. It is all happening really fast. I've built a community for anyone who wants to up-level themselves on LinkedIn. We are now over 600 members globally. I do ghostwriting for founders, entrepreneurs, celebrities. I recently signed a US basketball player, really exciting. Yeah, so that's what I'm currently doing. But enough about me, it is more about you. So the question is how to secure your first board seat. And in my eyes, and Callum might disagree or add comments onto that, but you need to become a well-known thought leader in your industry. And the question is why? Because, and this is not just for NED positions, this is all job positions. 70 to 80% of job positions are filled through the hidden job market. And I would assume that even for like board positions, it's even less. So that means they are not publicly posted job opportunities. You find those jobs through networking, referrals, direct outreach, or visibility. And visibility is the most important one. Because one, if they don't know you exist, if nobody knows what skills you have, what industry expertise you have, how are they supposed to get in touch with you? And also visibility means if you are applying proactively for a role and someone sees your profile, for example, on LinkedIn, or have heard of you before, they are desperate to actually get in touch with you. Whereas on the other side, if you are visible, highly visible, opportunities will come your way. And as I already mentioned, LinkedIn in this case is your unfair advantage. It is the best place nowadays in the digital world we're in to find those opportunities. So the question is how to become a thought leader on LinkedIn. And step one, it's a 3-step process. It sounds very simple. I will try to make it very simple. There is a lot to it and a lot of finesse and art. Ask me any questions later, but we go through those 3 steps now. And yeah, I hope it is easy and actionable for you. So first step, profile optimization. Obviously, your profile needs to scream thought leadership. Your profile is your digital business card. Even if someone just Googles your name, you meet them outside of LinkedIn at an event, wherever it might be, and they Google your name, most likely the LinkedIn URL will come up first. And they will click on your profile. And if your profile looks not updated, outdated, old, not relevant, you lose your credibility. So even for that, but then also in general, when you start showing up on LinkedIn, if you apply for jobs, the first thing people do is look at your profile. So it needs to be set up perfectly. My profile, just to give you a heads up, I'm using this obviously as an example, but I'm not targeting NED positions. So take it with a grain of salt, but in general, the principles are more or less the same. This part of your profile is LinkedIn prime real estate. We only have like a tiny amount of attention span. So you really need to grab someone's attention and bring across what you're an expert in within seconds. And number one, your banner is a billboard. It's free advertisement space. So use it, put words on it, explain what it is that you do, explain that you are an expert in XYZ. Also, if you are currently an employee, you can still do this. Even if you're an employee, you should show up as a thought leader. You should scream what your expertise is. This will only help in your own career, but also if you want to land a board position, you need to, tell the world what it is that you do. And as I said, this is free advertisement space. Add logos for credibility, companies that you've worked with. So in my case, as I'm only an entrepreneur for 2 months, I could now add FedEx and Samsung on there. I haven't done it yet. But I just put the companies I used to work for on there. I used to work for LinkedIn, I used to work for MasterCard, I used to work for Gartner, and I used to work for SAP. So I put them on there. Any sort of partnerships, even in your role as an employee, if you work with a big reputable company, put that on there. You're not lying. We need to kind of fake it till you make it. So tweaking it in the best possible way for you, but also be able to explain it. Don't lie, but it does not need to be 100% perfect. Your profile picture. Zoom it in. It needs to be bright. It needs to be ideally colorful. It's just to stand out. On LinkedIn, with on the right-hand side, you have suggested connections. If you go onto your network and you have suggestions who to connect with, you want to stand out. If you leave comments, if you slip into someone's DM, the brighter the picture, the more attention you will attract. Smile. Of course, it is up to you what vibe you want to put out, but it is all about we're doing business with humans. You want to be approachable. You want to be someone people want to work with. So be, as I said, approachable. What is very important, I actually didn't write it down, but verify your profile. LinkedIn is becoming more and more the number one most trusted website in the world, and they want to make sure there are no bots, no duplicated profiles, etc. So It is not confirmed, but there are rumors that when you put out content and you're not verified, the algorithm will not amplify it because they want to make sure it's only spreading content from verified sources. So that's very important. In your banner, you can put in a call to action. This kind of streams, again, like thought leader expertise. Even if you're an employee, you can offer a Calendly link for people to book in a one-on-one call with you. That really shows consultancy, advisory. So put that in, have a newsletter. That would be ideal to just showcase your expertise. Again, if you're an employee, you can do that as well. So tell people what they should do. Keep in mind, obviously, what you want to achieve, which is getting a board seat. So think about like, what are the skills someone on a board should have? So think about like, what can you put into your headline that screams board member? Talk about growth strategy. Obviously, keep in mind what your skills are and what your expertise is, but then put the lens of like NED on top of that. All right, your about section. It is not your CV. It is not your cover letter. It can be fun. It can be exciting. Should be written in the first person. Keep it quite short. Keep it easy to read. Put in bullet points. Put in paragraphs. What is important is to write like kind of your journey. Show people who you are, what you're an expert in. Maybe put in some testimonials. Put in projects you've been working on. As I said, like showcase your expertise. And then also put in a call to action again, like send me a DM if you're interested, or book in a call with me. Something like this. And then think about it in your about section. You can highlight your top skills, 5 of them. Think about what are the top skills you want to put in there. Again, thinking about board positions, what are the skills you want to put in? Your featured section, a lot of people completely miss that, or they don't understand how to use it. Some people just post some posts on there. This is kind of like your shop front. If you're a business owner, it should be like your website. It should be a link to your testimonials. It should be a link to your newsletter. But you can also put in any sort of publications that you had like externally. It could be an article that you helped co-write. It could be an article that referenced you. It could be a podcast that you've been a guest on. Whatever it might be that, again, underlines this expertise that you have in your industry, the better. Put that all in there. And also, again, put in a Calendly link for people to book in a call with you. That is the easiest way. Make it easy for anyone to network with you. Put in that Calendly link, 20 minutes, coffee chats, whether you want to call it coffee chats or not, but put this in, make it easy for people to reach out to you and talk to you. In your experience section, similar to the about section, keep it short, keep it easy to read, first person, written in the first person. Also think about it in terms of outcomes rather than tasks that you've been doing. Think about like if you've been in marketing, write down how XYZ campaign drove 90% signups in blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So think about what is your expertise, and also again, put the board lens on it. How can you help other companies achieve that? So put that in there. And something that a lot of people forget is you can add media onto your experience section. Again, your website, newsletter, testimonials, one-on-one Calendly link. Put that in any sort of like where you've been referenced in the media, similar to your featured section. Put that in there. And then obviously also add your skills in it. By the way, with the skills, it is the most important aspect to put this in for the job search on LinkedIn. So if you're actually applying for jobs via LinkedIn Jobs, that's how recruiters, the recruiter tool that they use on the backend is completely separate to what we see on LinkedIn. And when they do their recruiter search, you will pop up depending on how many skills in your profile overlap with the skills that they have added onto a job spec. So therefore, it is really important. You can add, I think, like 50 skills to your profile nowadays. Add them all in. There's no reason why you shouldn't have 50 skills on your profile. And again, think about, you can even look at like job positions currently on LinkedIn for NEDs. What are the requirements? What are the skills? Go onto your profile, add exactly those skills in. So have that lens on, put them in. Also in terms of recommendations on your profile, so other profile recommendations, you will pop up again based on your skills. So if someone is, let's say, a lawyer, they will get recommendations from other people who have skills that lawyers have on their profile, if that makes sense. Obviously, there are other reasons to it as well, but this is why we want to have the skills. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your content per se. When you put out content, there are other reasons of why the algorithm decides to show content or not. We can dive into that. But yeah, but for the reasons I mentioned, it's important to add in the skills. The next step is content. I'm not sure how many people are proactively already posting. I hope all of you, but I know it can be scary, and I know it's like kind of like cringe, and we call it, you need to climb the cringe mountain. It will get better. It will feel less and less cringe. There are easy ways to get started. If you have questions around how to best get started, let me know. I'm not diving into it now, but also if you want to know advanced strategies, let me know. I try to find a bit of like a middle ground here. With your content, you should post at least 3 to 7 times a week. So you don't need to post every day. You don't need to post multiple times a day. 3 times a week is actually enough if it's high quality content. Think of it as like a funnel, typical marketing funnel as well. Top of the funnel is the content that is broad. That is the type of content that can go viral, that lots of people, that's applicable for a lot of people, and a lot of people would reshare. So what LinkedIn loves is recency, is look into industry news, set up a Google alert for like your industry, your niche. See every day what's in the news. You can also use ChatGPT to ask it like for a prompt of like what is currently happening in the news. You want to write a LinkedIn post, etc. And then put your own angle to it, your own opinion, your own thought leadership expertise. And those posts on LinkedIn, they perform really, really well because, as I said, like LinkedIn is looking out for those words like today, recently, in the news, those things. The middle of the funnel gets a bit more specific. This is where you can talk about case studies. So again, this is where you can talk about the marketing project that you've led that had XYZ outcome, or how you've helped turn around a company in XYZ way. Anything that is more like, look how I'm doing things. And also in another aspect is if you are good in sales, rather than top funnel would be talking about sales in general, the middle of the funnel would be like tech sales in fintech, let's say. You know what I mean? Like it is more niche down. So this is kind of like the middle funnel content. It is still relevant for a lot of people, but it won't get as viral as like a top funnel post. And then the bottom funnel post, if you are a business owner or you're in sales, this is where you said like, buy my services or sign up to my newsletter. In your case also, it could just be like calling onto your network and say like, I'm looking for an NED position. Is there anyone in your network who is looking for it? Or are you looking for an NED position? This is what I bring to the table. This is what I'm looking for. Obviously, as you can see in terms of how much you should focus on each type of content, the most should be top funnel content because that's the one where you can really grow on LinkedIn. Middle funnel is really important to deepen that relationship with your audience for them to get to know you better, but you might not necessarily convert new followers or not as many. And the bottom funnel post, very, very rarely ask. But also if you're not asking, you don't get. So you have to also ask every now and then. Finding a job is sales, is kind of sales. So do it. If you don't ask, you don't get. What makes good content? I could talk about this for hours. I try to keep it short, but most important is a strong hook. 85% of people use their phone to scroll on LinkedIn. And notice when you're next on LinkedIn and you're scrolling, what made you stop scrolling? Really pay attention to it. And you will notice it is either the image that somehow locked you in. It might be a billboard with a quote, like really think about what is it that made you stop, or it is the hook. And if the hook is not strong and your supporting image is not scroll stopping, people will pass on. And LinkedIn actually punishes that. The way how the algorithm works is, and also by the way, nobody knows the algorithm. The algorithm changes all the time. The algorithm is also different from region to region. So nobody knows. The only way how we know how the algorithm works is LinkedIn. The team every now and then pops on and says like, this is how it works and this is how it works, but you will notice they are very vague around everything. The other way is we have LinkedIn gurus that analyze thousands and thousands of posts and they find similarities, they find percentages of X, Y, Z. So we can gauge what works, what doesn't. But I just wanted to give a heads up. Nobody knows the algorithm. When I was at LinkedIn, trust me, I tried everything to find out how the algorithm works. I went deep into our intranet and asked people. I could not find it out. But yeah, in terms of the LinkedIn algorithm punishes you, if you put out a post, it will be sent to your first degree connections, to people who are directly connected with you or follow you first. If they don't engage with your content and scroll on, LinkedIn will punish it because it's basically saying your content is so shit that your first degree connections don't even care. So it will not be sent to their connections or your second and third degree connections. So it is really important to hook people in. With posts, we are people, we want to be entertained. LinkedIn is competing with the TikToks, with the YouTube Shorts, with everything in the world we're in currently. You need to lock people in. So when you actually have them with the hook and they open up your post, what makes them actually read your post? So you want to tell a story, you want to bring them onto a journey, you want to make sure every line they're reading, it keeps them interested until the end of your post. Write it in easy language, Hemingway style, easy words, no jargon. Write it as if you would speak with a friend. Rule of 3 lines is basically avoiding a block of text. There are tools where you can preview how your LinkedIn post will look like. And you can also see it how it will look like on a computer and also on a phone. If it's a big block of text, break it up. Try to keep it to 3 lines in a row maximum. Sometimes maybe 4 because it's hard to avoid, but try to avoid it. Short sentences, and very important, at the end of the post, have a call to action to trigger engagement. Again, another factor of whether your post will go viral or not is how many comments and also how quickly people are leaving comments under your post. So ask them to leave a comment, ask them a question, ideally to be open-ended so people actually provide value and they not just say like yes or leave one emoji. So you want to have conversation. What really makes a post go viral is if in the comments is like a thread going on. People ask questions, you respond, someone else chimes in, it's like a thread within the comments. That's what we want. So you can even like under your own post, leave your own comments. LinkedIn doesn't know who wrote those comments, they just have a count. So that means under your own post, leave like 3 to 4 comments on your own. Another, you can say like, oh, I had another thought and add something else. Or you can ask another question to trigger like this thread in the comments. Or you can put in another link to say like more information here. Or you can tag people. Don't overdo this, don't spam people. But if it's relevant, tag people. Those are ways to like trigger the engagement a little bit more and also to animate people to leave comments. The third step is engagement. I call it, and I should trademark this, the 20-20-20 method. So LinkedIn is one of those platforms. The more you put in, the more you get out. So you have a lot in your own control. You don't just post, sit back and hope it goes viral. I mean, you can, but chances are quite slim, especially in the beginning. Before you grow to like 10,000 followers, you need to do a lot in the background. I've done this and I've done kind of like the 20-20-20 method. To be fair, I've gone a little bit above with that, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed. And once I hit around like 10,000 followers, a little bit earlier, it is kind of a snowball effect. So then I could like do less engagement in the background and just focus on really good content, and the content would do the work for me. But if you're not there yet, you need to do a lot in the background. Again, with LinkedIn is the more active you're in the DMs, the more connection requests you send, the more comments you leave on other people's posts, the more your posts will be shown to them. So this just helps your content to be seen. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Therefore, 20-20-20 means 60 minutes split 20-20-20 per day on LinkedIn. This way you can block it out in your calendar, 1 hour on LinkedIn per day. Box is ticked, and then you can move on with your life. The way how you should do it is the first 20 minutes is leaving 20 comments a day. It might actually take you a little bit longer to leave 20 comments. You will get quicker with it. Maybe think about like 20 minutes comments per day. Comments are important. Like for example, Jess, she only had like 6,000 followers, but one of her comments achieved over 63,000 impressions. Think about it. Your posts probably currently yield around maybe like 1,000 impressions if they're performing well. One of her comments had 63,000 impressions. So if you leave comments, leave them under big creators, leave them under the people that you want to be visible for, like CEOs, other board members, etc. And the rest of your comments, they can just go to like your friends or whoever pops up in Callum maybe, or me, whoever pops up in your feed. Never use AI. It diminishes your credibility instantly. Always try to add value. I know it takes time, but try to add value. Ask another question, like be maybe controversial, like just see what really sparks a conversation in the comments that make you stand out. And when you comment under big creators' posts, by the way, there is a tool where you can see when big creators always post their content. If you want to go above and beyond, set an alarm. Stephen Bartlett, for example, every day, 8 a.m. I would love to say that I'm doing this, but I could set an alarm every day at 8 a.m. Be on his profile. The second it launches, I will be one of the first. Think about it. He is getting so many comments, so many impressions under his post. If you're one of the first comments, this is how you get 63,000 impressions. You need to be very dedicated for that. Connection requests. Send 20 connection requests per day. With a premium profile, this is how you can do it. Also with Sales Navigator, if you have no subscription, you can't do it. But I would highly recommend, and I'm not getting any sort of like commission for that, but I would highly recommend to have at least a premium profile. Split up your connection requests 50-50. 50%, so 10 connection requests per day, go to your ICP, CEOs, other NEDs, anyone that you want to be in front of. The other 50% go to bigger creators and your peers. And also we want to make sure with those people that they are active on LinkedIn. There are strategies on how to find people who are active on LinkedIn, but basically we want to connect with people that don't shy away of leaving comments under your post as well. Always include a message. And again, you can only do this with a premium or Sales Navigator profile. This is an example here I put in with Loretta. I referenced someone we are both following. I said like that I saw a comment from her under that post. So it's like, make it personal, make it relevant, make it nice, lighthearted, and always open with an open-ended question. Never ever pitch straight away. You can obviously, mine is very like light touch, but you can make it more professional. You can really talk about like, we are both experts in the fintech industry. Would love to expand my network with like-minded people. You can reference someone that you're both following who is a thought leader in fintech. You can say like, absolutely love their content, love to connect with people who are like-minded, something like this. And then the open-ended question, keep it light, make it easy for people to respond to. Don't make it too quirky, don't make it too salesy. The open-ended question is important because one, this is how you start building relationships and be memorable and like, as I said, like form that connection. But also secondly, if they respond, LinkedIn then thinks like, oh, you've recently been in touch with John, therefore your content must be relevant to John, so your content will be shown to John. But if John doesn't respond to your email, LinkedIn will probably not think it was relevant to John. So make it easy for John to respond. And with a simple open-ended question, that makes it easier. If you have like a closed question with just like a yes or no answer, that will maybe trigger a response, but it won't trigger a conversation. 20 minutes in a DM, that's the last step of the 20-20-20 method. Spend 20 minutes in your DMs because the more connection requests you send with messages, the more responses you will get. So you need to answer DMs. Be curious about people, form those relationships. You can indirectly pitch what it is that you're offering. So for example, when you say like, how has your weekend been? And I say like, good, how about you? Or like, whatever. You can then say like, oh, I just came off a call with company XYZ. We are discussing how to grow their business, let's say. So like absolutely stoked for them, super excited what we're going to achieve, but now it's time for me to put my feet up and enjoy a glass of wine. Something like this, you indirectly said what it is that you're doing, you indirectly show that you are successful, but you're humble, you're human, you're not pitching. If they're interested, they will ask more questions. If they're not interested, at least they now know what it is that you're doing. And they might remember you and talk about someone else about you because they've come across you. Or in the future, if they continuously see your content, they will come back to you. Never use any automations. If you use any automation tools, you will get banned. That is a guarantee. It's just a matter of time. So stay away from them. Also, when your DMs, they will get overwhelming. There's a tool called Kondo. It is amazing. I'm not getting any money from them again, but it is a life changer because you can categorize DMs and it's much easier to answer and to organize. So Kondo is a great tool. I have a referral link. You get like, I don't know, a month for free or something. But as I said, I don't work with them, but just saying Kondo is a lifesaver. And I'm very proud of me in terms of timings. This is kind of at the end. I hope you're ready to start posting on LinkedIn. I hope I was able to inspire you. I probably have also overwhelmed you. I have a community, meaning you don't have to do it alone. If you want to have a bit more hand-holding, I offer weekly calls. I roast your posts, so you can post your drafted post. I will give you my feedback, and I will tell you how to make it better. I'm answering any sort of questions you have around LinkedIn. We are a community of people that literally want to upskill themselves on LinkedIn. It is way too cheap. I was just talking to Callum about this earlier. I definitely need to put up my price. But anyways, it's $29 a month. And for you guys, I give you 1 month free trial. That means you can even cancel before you're actually getting charged, which is ridiculous. So feel free to join, test out my community. I hope it will be helpful. But even if you just give it a try, like really hands-on try for 1 month, I'm convinced you will be able to make a lot of progress. And here we are. God, I'm so German. It's like bang on. half an hour. Good. I'm proud of myself.
Very good, very good. Wow, awesome content. Lots and lots to think about. We've got over 100 people in the room watching and more on LinkedIn. So that's fantastic. And you covered a lot of ground. I know you said you were going to cover a lot of ground very quickly. You have. For anyone that has registered, we will send you the recording of this so you can go through and get some of those insights again. Look, I've got some questions. Obviously, I've been on LinkedIn. I've actually been on LinkedIn for 21 years. So I was in the end of its first year, which is...
You must have been one of the first users. You should get like
I
a badge.
was. And so I posted recently, there's a quote from my mum that says, you've been on LinkedIn for 21 years and you still haven't got a proper job. But so obviously it's changed a massive amount since then. And it's a real behemoth now with whatever 1.x billion users. What are some of the changes as an insider that you've seen, even just sort of in the 3 years that you like the 2 years at LinkedIn, and then since then, what are some of the things that you've spotted?
Yeah, I love that you asked this question. People need to remember LinkedIn, whilst it is a social media platform, it is a multi-billion-dollar company and is predominantly a software company. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. It was bought by Microsoft for 16 billion, I think, or even more. It was a double-figure billion number. And the majority of their revenue they make through software. Is the recruiter tools, is advertisement, is sales navigator, etc. So whilst content is important for LinkedIn, it is not their key driver. This is why they don't have like a lot of like content rewards in the sense of like TikTok, etc. and YouTube, depending on how many views you get like money for it. It is important for them to have people putting out content because this is how it all helps with like job seekers and companies positioning themselves, etc. They rely on us, but they don't rely on us financially. So I know it goes hand in hand, but we need to keep that in mind. And the recent shift that we've seen with LinkedIn is they're becoming more and more a news broadcaster. So initially, LinkedIn, and this is also their like a public mission, is to create opportunity in the workforce. So it's all about hiring, jobs, etc. However, this is getting more and more into the background. It is still obviously there and a key point, but think about it, LinkedIn is the only social media network where every user has to be verified. You have to show up with your real name as a real person. You can hide on X, you can hide on Facebook. LinkedIn is the only place where real people are. That's why they put such a high emphasis on having like real users on it. So that also means in terms of media and news distribution, you're not just like, it's the whole thing of like, can we trust the media? Can we trust like CNN, BBC, whatever they're putting out? So you can have real people sharing real insights with their own opinions. And this is a great way for LinkedIn to spread news and become more of a news broadcaster. They have the editorial team. They're also the ones that hand out the top voice badges. And this is also why posts that reference like reputable external sources, like the Economic Forum, Bloomberg, etc., or like CNN, BBC, those posts perform really, really well. So we see that shift more and more. That LinkedIn has made a huge investment over the last 2 years in terms of expanding their editorial team. So all about news. So it's really important if you want to stand out on LinkedIn to focus on talking about the news.
Interesting. So that was one of the things that stood out to me in your presentation. And by the way, I've got a couple of questions that I want to go through, and then we've got a ton of questions from other people that I will get into. But one of the things that stood out to me in your presentation was you talked about topical content. So things that have happened in the news recently and that works. But at the same time, in the last few months, LinkedIn has really shifted the long tail of content in terms of we're now seeing posts that were made 2-3 weeks ago. And so I've actually, I've really steered away from timely content because it kind of suddenly looks really out of date when people look at it 3 weeks later. So is that because, are you saying do use that because this is a move towards trying to work with those broadcasters? Is that where that's coming from?
Honestly, this recent change in the algorithm, everyone is absolutely baffled by it. And this is also LinkedIn internals. as I still have close ties to the people that work at LinkedIn, and in particularly the editorial team. I was speaking to them, so those like the news team. We are all kind of baffled because initially, like the public statement is they've done it so that like the whole like sensationalism is a bit like less and more important, like posts, which is the irony you will hear in a second. Like if someone got a promotion, or if, hold on, sorry, I'm just changing my screen. If someone, oh, apologies, sorry, here we go. If someone made a career move or got promoted, etc., those announcements, LinkedIn says like, this is really important and we want you to notice it. But funnily enough, like, I don't want to see this like 3 weeks later. Like, I want to see this now. So it's all a bit like we are all baffled as to like, why are you actually doing this? We can really see all of our impressions are currently tanked. It's not just mine. It's not just if you noticed it. There are big creators that have now sent an open letter to LinkedIn saying like, what the fuck are you actually doing? Like, what is actually the point? And this also reinforces what I said earlier. I think the LinkedIn algorithm team, they don't know what they're doing, because I spoke very closely to the video team. I know they push video content, but at the same time, video content doesn't perform. So I feel like LinkedIn is such a big company. Someone is doing something there, something there, something there, and it's not really aligned. And then at the same time, LinkedIn CEO is now stepping into a role at Microsoft. So what is happening there? There is so much change going on. I don't think anyone really knows what's happening. And also, I think this is the thing with LinkedIn. Don't overthink it. Don't get into analysis paralysis, because it will just drive you nuts.
Interesting. You heard it here first, kids. LinkedIn don't know what they're doing.
I mean, I have left LinkedIn now, so
yeah,
fine.
so.
But honestly,
Okay. Yeah. So what I want to talk about as well, because I'm kind of interested in, look, the surface level advice is, you know, post regularly and post interesting content and put time into it and all of those good things. And then when you look at the people that have sort of seemed to come from nowhere, and suddenly their content is getting hundreds of comments and tons of visibility. Let's talk about pods. Can you explain pods to people that don't know what's happening, and what are your views on them? Yeah, how do you think people should think about them?
All right, I'm going to answer your question in 2 parts, because the first part, what you were saying is like suddenly people come out of nowhere and they have a lot of momentum, and you wonder like, how are they having the momentum, which makes you think, could they be in a pod? So I will talk about pods in the second step. I noticed myself firsthand, and other people have said this as well. You can get a temporary push from LinkedIn with the algorithm. We don't know how long it will last for, we have no idea. But if you had a post that performed really well, and the next one performs well, and the next one performs well, then no matter what crap you put out, it will perform well. Until a certain time, it doesn't perform well anymore. So sometimes you see like someone is on a run, and they are just on a run, and then it kind of plateaus. So the big creators, they also say this, they have like spurts of like a few weeks going nuts, and then it plateaus, and then it goes nuts again. It is not linear. We don't really know what is actually happening. We assume it is like the momentum. When you have a good post, it will keep it up. And then you might do something that kills your momentum. You can go into a downward spiral. So for example, if you post like video content, performs terribly, that means your next post probably, because that post hasn't been seen by many people, probably your next post will be seen by less. If you then repost someone else's post, which is also stupid, why it doesn't help, but it's like, it's terrible. It's the worst thing you can do, reposting someone else's content. That also will punish you. So you might get into a downward spiral. So the way how it can go up, it can go down. So sometimes you might see a new creator and you think like, why are they performing so well? They could just be on this like run, but they could also be in an engagement pod. So to be honest,
just explain what an engagement pod is.
Okay.
For people who
Yeah.
don't know.
So engagement pods is basically the easiest form is probably a WhatsApp chat with 100 of people in there. You create a post on LinkedIn, you put the post into the chat, and everyone in the chat jumps onto that post, likes, comments it, maybe repost it, but that would be stupid. And you do the same for anyone else. So basically, the idea is you trigger a whole lot of engagement on your post to signal to the algorithm your post is valuable, and therefore the algorithm will amplify it. I have mixed feelings about it, because on the one hand, I can see, yes, it can work, but then also on the other hand, it feels a little bit like cheating, but also it can go into a wrong direction. First of all, in terms of how it can go into the wrong direction, if you are a lawyer, let's say, ideally you would need to have an engagement pod with other lawyers. What is the likelihood of that? You probably have an engagement pod with the most random people in there. So what happens if you have a lot of random people commenting under your post, LinkedIn is thinking like, who is this post relevant for? Is it for lawyers? Is it for dentists? Is it for, I don't know, hairdressers? Those people are not on LinkedIn, but you know what I mean? Like the algorithm, you probably confuse the algorithm as to who this content should be spread out to. So you're probably getting a lot of engagement, but you're not spreading your content further. You're probably prohibiting yourself from it going viral to the right audience. So that's one aspect. Yeah, so ideally you need to have an engagement pod with lawyers. However, the other aspect is, yes, it can help, because even if you are posting content, you're a lawyer, you post content and a hairdresser likes it or comments on it, they might have in their network lawyers.
I have no hairdressers following me. I don't know why.
So it can be helpful. It is, because nobody knows the algorithm for sure. It is a little bit tricky. I think in general, using engagement pod leaves me with a feeling of like, I'm trying to cheat the system. And I think also it makes you lazy, because what really the best way is to have a post go viral and put out really good content. And I think it makes you lazy by being in an engagement pod, because you rely on other people posting. Also, how annoying is it to have to do this to other people as well? Like, how time consuming? Isn't it better to put that time into crafting good content and connecting with the right people? And for example, you never know, your next content could go viral. When I was growing my following, I was 2,000 followers away from my goal a few days before I had that deadline. And I already drafted a post saying like, oh, I've missed my goal, etc. Put out a post, it went nuts. Over 7,000 engagements, absolutely nuts. And I had no idea. I had no idea whether they would go viral or not. You never know. So focus on putting out really good content, and yeah, rather than engagement pods.
Yeah, right, cool. So you mentioned time there, and I was asking people in the chat like how long they spend on LinkedIn. I don't think any of us truly want to admit how much time we spend on it, but what do you think about using VAs? And specifically, I had a question because when you do comment on one of these big influencer, and then a couple of hours later they reply to your comment, and I'm thinking that can't be them because you got 600 replies. So what's your view on using virtual assistants or bots or whatever that they're doing to respond to everyone?
Yeah, first of all, bots, no go. One, too risky to get blocked, and second, it's shit content. With VAs, yes, all the big creators are using it. There is no denial. But also, you can tell if it's them talking or VA talking, because the VAs, they want to be on the safe side. They keep their comments very bland, very boring. So it's no personality in it unless you have a really good VA that like is a bit clever. Not saying that VAs are not clever, sorry, that came out wrong, but I hope you know what I mean. They're not just
someone who knows your voice. Yeah.
It is a little bit tricky because I just posted about this the other day. What is the fucking point, sorry for swearing, about LinkedIn if you end up having ChatGPT writing your posts, having bots or VAs commenting, another VA commenting? It's just VAs commenting with VAs. Like, what's the point? You're not forming connections. Also, if you have a VA doing the commenting on your behalf, like for example on your post, you don't see who is posting. You don't see who are the right people you need to connect with. You can, however, get help. So I think do a hybrid approach. I'm not doing it, but also I want to lead by example. But I also know other people have other priorities, etc. Like I literally, LinkedIn is my job. But what you could do is like have a VA comment under the big creator posts. They can schedule their calendar, their alarms, etc. They post under the Stephen Bartlett's, the Mel Robbins, etc. They can do those posts. They can maybe also do a few other comments here and there. But when it comes to like those connections that you already have, you should be in charge of that. You should be in charge of your own comments. So they can be in charge of sending the connection requests. Like it is a message that you already decided on that you want to send out. They can do the outreach. See what makes sense, but don't overdo it, because then what's the point on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So I saw your rant a couple of days ago about AI, and clearly there is a lot of AI content, and there are a lot of AI comments. So what in your mind are the metrics that matter, and what are people getting confused on? Like are people getting caught up with vanity metrics versus what you think counts? What's your view on that?
When I was growing my following and I made it public where I said like I'm going to grow to 10,000 followers, the amount of messages I got for like saying, oh, you're just chasing a vanity metric. Of course, if you have like 10,000 followers that are irrelevant to you, of course, it's stupid. Also, it doesn't mean having X amount of followers doesn't mean X amount of business. I know. But if you have a goal, you're more likely to achieve it. And you need to have a tangible goal, because otherwise, if it's just fluffy stuff, it's very hard to track. So tracking followers is a good one. And also, nobody can deny, if we are all like kind of LinkedIn gurus, we are in the weeds, but not everyone is. If someone stumbles onto your profile and you have 10,000 followers, that's instant credibility. They will have no idea how you gained your followers, if they're relevant or not, whatever, but at least it is instant credibility. So that will help. And also when you put out a post, the chances are that people that are important will see it. So it is good to track followers. It is good to have like a goal. But then of course you need to check like, are those the right followers? Check into your analytics. What are the demographics, their seniority? Are you tracking into the right direction? But it's not a vanity metric. And I can talk for hours about analytics, but I don't want to go into too much detail. But if you have more questions, let me know.
Okay, well, we've got lots more questions. So we'll do kind of a quick fire one on some of the questions that have come in while you were talking. So one of them was around the profile. Your profile, your profile photo, you're not actually looking at the camera, and most conventional wisdom says look at the camera. You got any thoughts on that?
They are correct. They are correct. My picture is not perfect. So yes, best is to look into the camera. Yeah.
All right, good. So Lorenzo mentioned that recommendations are great, but they're right down the bottom. Nobody sees them. Any bright ideas on, if you've got a good recommendation, how you highlight it?
So if you have all the time in the world, great. Focus on your connections, recommendations, send them out, give them to people, get some back. Great, they don't harm. But reality is hardly anyone scrolls down to the bottom. If you are proactively really like applying for jobs and people are like recruiters looking onto your profile, probably put a little bit more attention to it. But what I think is more clever is having recommendations and testimonials in your featured section or as media in your experience section. So you can set up your own website, and you should actually have a website. Even if you're an employee, have a website about yourself. I know it sounds so cringe, but have a website about yourself, and there should be a section in it with testimonials from people you work with, from clients, etc. And then highlight this in your featured section. Very easy. You can call it like what people say about me, or like how people have worked with me. Something like this, make it easy. Don't rely on people scrolling to the bottom of your profile.
Good contact. Christina was asking about security risks, and I think she was looking at how does LinkedIn as a company think about sort of fake profiles or phishing through that? Is that something that sort of they're actively working?
So the thing is, actually publicly, they get a lot of backlash of like, there's so much AI and bots and fake job postings out there, and do something about it. LinkedIn is doing a lot about it. They do everything they can, but it's not easy. It's not just snipping your hand and they're gone. Like those bots, they get more creative and better. It is really hard for LinkedIn, because also when I was still at LinkedIn, I was working with so many people that got their accounts banned incorrectly. And there where I got like several per day that I tried to recover for them. It was like a charity helping them to get their accounts back. And we did. But it just means it's not easy for LinkedIn. But trust me, they do everything they can, because this is their USP. Like they're the only platform that is trusted, and they maintain that. This is their most important aspect. So they trust that they do everything they can to get rid of the bots.
Sure. So interesting question from Sylvia, which I think a lot of people wrestle with, is if you've got multiple interests or multiple roles, how do you combine it into your profile without kind of confusing people? How do you, how do you think about that?
Really good question. Also, it's interesting for people that are in an employment and want to get an NED role. Like, how do you do both? Ideally, try to find an umbrella. Like, could it be like AI you're interested in, or economics, or like sales? What is like the overarching umbrella that both fits into? And then you can do content about both. Also, you can use the about section, and you can tell we are all multi-passionate individuals. We all have hobbies. Someone loves to do yoga. This makes you unique. That is your DNA. This is how you differentiate yourself from others. This is how you can say, I'm an expert in fintech, but I also have a lawyer degree. Like, how many people are out there like this? So use this to your advantage. Make it clear in your about section that you have multi-passions, but also when you post your posts, you can highlight this again and saying like, this is me, I have those experiences. And the more people will get to know you. People, when they follow you, you will be amazed. They know you, if you make it clear. So yeah, embrace it. Try to find an overarching umbrella for your top funnel content. And yeah, and also, sorry, very quickly, when you're still employed and you don't want to piss off your employer, make sure you weave in like how being on a board or looking for board positions or whatever you do on the side, the entrepreneurial journey you do, how is that actually helping you in your job? What are the lessons you're learning? How does this elevate your job? That's what I did. So I actually had a board position whilst I was still at LinkedIn, and I told my manager about it. I was very transparent, but I also led with the angle of this is giving me so much like energy and passion and so much like new ways of thinking, entrepreneurial ways of thinking that I want to bring into my role at LinkedIn to like think outside of the box. And he loved it. And that's what you need to do.
Yeah. And that's a genuine reason to be getting board seats. So we talk about having the intersection of kind of what you're known for and what you want to be known for, and making your content kind of fit in that intersection. And this is a bit of a niche one, but Sunette comes from a country that is unverifiable on LinkedIn. Like, it's not one of the countries they recognize. Any bright ideas on how you get around that?
This happens a lot. Reach out to LinkedIn. When you actually go onto LinkedIn, go to the help section, open it in a new tab, scroll to the bottom. At the bottom, it says contact us. It's very small. This is where you can raise a ticket. And this is actually LinkedIn's help team. They're good. They're humans. Raise a ticket. Don't use the chat option. Raise a ticket. It takes 2 to 3 business days, but it's real humans answering you, and they can sort it out because they have the opportunity to manually verify you. You still have to like send them documents, but they can do it for you. It's just the software that they use. It's not supported in certain regions, but they can do it manually.
Cool. We had a couple of questions from Diksha. One, I think one was sort of around, and I think it's kind of comes from a little bit overthinking about how you engage with people in comments and how you avoid coming off as kind of a fanboy on the big influencers stuff. Do you have any sort of thoughts about that, or is it just kind of being authentic? And
first of all, don't think about like it's a bad thing. I love those followers that always pop up and cheer me on. I love them because I know they're not bots. I know they know me. Like, I love seeing their faces. And imagine if you're the first person posting under Stephen Bartlett's post every fucking day, he will notice you. I mean, he is not running his own LinkedIn, but if he were, he would notice you. This is a great way. Look at people who are a few steps ahead of you. Look at people who are like, or also people you want to get in front of. This is how you get visibility. Like, do it. Like, don't hold away from doing that. But in general, it's like, don't overthink it with the comments as well. Think about having a conversation with them in person. What type of comment can you write that? It's just like, what comes to your mind first thing? Write it down, add emojis, show your personality. Don't overthink it. Yes, on paper, the longer the comment, the more thoughtful, the more value add, the better, but also it takes time. So sometimes when I see a really good post and I actually want to bring in my expertise, I take more time. Also, a very clever way is go to a big creator's post from a few days ago, scroll to their comments, see which ones the VAs or themselves don't answer, and then jump in and give your own opinion. This is a great way. Look at, like, you can always see the first bit of the headline, see who your ICPs are. If you then show up and say, like, actually, I'm an expert in marketing, I would say this, and this. Follow up with a connection request, say like, hey, John, not sure if you've seen my comment under Stephen Bartlett's post, but this is my opinion. What do you think? This is gold. It takes time.
All right, cool. Just before we go into the next bunch of questions, just a reminder for everyone, what you're hearing today is really kind of that arbitrage between the conventional wisdom that you hear and what actual insiders are doing. I kind of have spent the last 25 years always trying to figure out what insiders are actually doing and trying to get into the right rooms where that happens, because it's such a shortcut, and I don't like playing retail. So on October the 7th, we have a 3-hour workshop. It's currently free if you're the first in the first 500 to register. One of my team will post it. And basically, it's a 3-hour workshop. We have got people that have got onto the inside rooms very, very quickly using a bunch of strategies. So we've got people that have got into boardrooms. We've got people that have got into some of the wealthiest families in Switzerland. They're going to talk about how they've done that. We've got people talking about the power of service and giving back and how that leads to so much more. So I'm really, really excited. We've got 4 amazing speakers on that. So definitely click on that link and sign up for that, because I'd love to see you on that. And it's the same idea of getting that kind of inside content that other people don't know about and getting on the inside. So next question, and this is something you're very good at, but it doesn't always come naturally to people, is the hook. Any advice on creating a great hook?
So first of all, the hook should not be longer than 12 words. It's not perfect science. It shouldn't be longer than 12 words. Always think about, like, would I continue reading if I were to see it myself? Again, when you scroll on LinkedIn, see what made you stop scrolling. What are the types of hooks? We can see if hooks have numbers in it, they actually perform better. So it's like 5 tips to do X, Y, Z. Make them controversial, make them shocking. Use ChatGPT, like, use your own lens, but use ChatGPT to brainstorm. Say, like, put your draft in ChatGPT and ask them, give me a range of bold, controversial, spicy, I desperately need to read more hooks, and then see what comes up with. What is good as well, do a rehook. Do your hook, and then don't make people see more. And when they click on see more, follow up with another hook that really gets them in. There's also a hook generator, GPT. I'm not sure, one of the big creators, I don't know which one it was. Maybe Justin Welch, I'm not sure, I might give him wrong credit. They have created a hook generator, GPT, and it's actually really good. If you want, just hit me up on LinkedIn. It might take a month for me to get back to you. Apologies. I haven't outsourced my DMs, but I'm happy to send it to you. It's free. And it's actually really good. You put in your post and it comes up with ideas, and it has like those proven methods of like what makes a hook good, with like the numbers and like the length, etc. And you will get better and better. But again, be conscious when you scroll LinkedIn. That is the best way. Analyze yourself. What makes you stop scrolling?
I think, I mean, look, it is difficult with the algorithm playing games, but I go back through all of my posts and see what worked, what didn't work, and yeah, a lot of it's just running experiments and seeing what works. So Susie asked an interesting question, which you kind of have answered, which is, she says she gets most engagement when she talks about job, like getting a new board seat, something like that. How does she get that level of engagement on her normal posts? But I think you kind of answered that LinkedIn is really the place for jobs. But that kind of leads on to another question, just so maybe a two-parter, but somebody has asked, Lorenzo has asked about the open to work banner. What are your views on that? Good or
this will take too long. What I will say is, go onto my profile. 3 days ago, I posted exactly about the open to work banner. You have all the information there. Look through the comments. Because conscious of time, and also this is a brilliant way to drive traffic to my profile. Go onto my profile, look into the post from 3 days ago. You will instantly see it. That's my opinion on the open to work banner. And to answer the first question, LinkedIn currently has certain themes that perform really well. It has always been career, leadership, management, anything like work related, recruitment as well. So this is why that person's post would have performed well. AI is also a good topic to talk about, but then also people love to hear personal stories. And again, when your first degree connections engage with your content, the algorithm will amplify it. If you talk about, hey, I achieved this and this and this, people are nice, people congratulate you. Therefore, lots of engagement, therefore the algorithm will amplify it further. That's why that post performed well. But you can't post about this every day. So, but it's good to do this every now and then to give yourself a bit of a push.
Yeah. All right. So look, in the interest of German efficiency, we're going to wrap up here. Please share your appreciation. This was a really, really great session. I learned a lot of stuff. Definitely go and follow Alicia on LinkedIn. So one of the last questions was examples of high performing hooks. Go and have a look at some of Alicia's posts. Go and have a look at some of the top influencers' posts and borrow some of their ideas, borrow them, but adapt them to yourself. But fantastic content. We will send you all recordings of this so that you can go back through, because there was a lot of content to go through. A reminder that you get the free tool, so you can go and have your LinkedIn profile analyzed. And you can also sign up for our Inner Circle event on October the 9th. So thank you very, very much, Alicia. We've got tons and tons of very nice comments coming through. So brilliant. I do appreciate it. And we'll see you on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Great questions. Cheers.